Welcome to Corey's Canine Corner. It's cold outside, and I'm here today with Dr. Jerry Klein, Chief Veterinarian at the American Kennel Club, America's favorite veterinarian and dog's best friend. And we're talking about how to keep our pets safe, especially our dogs, in this cold weather. Dr. Klein, you and I both have breeds that are acclimated to cold weather. You've got Afghan hounds, I've got Tibetan Terriers. Um, but not all dogs are acclimated, and even our breeds, we have to be careful when it's 0 degrees out. Wind chill in Chicago is going to be sub-zero tonight and the next couple days. How do we keep our pets safe?
Well, dogs can get frostbite, first of all. I think we have to be aware of that. When you mentioned dogs are acclimated, they're from breeds that are their ancestors were acclimated to this cold weather. But our dogs, they don't spend their lives outside. They're not really acclimated. They're acclimated to the sofa and the fireplace downstairs. So they have to go outside. The one dog, my dog, he likes eating snow, but even he can get cold, and I have to be careful of him because he's not going to show signs until he's really cold. But in this kind of weather, when the weather person tells you to keep pets inside and keep yourself inside, listen to them because they know better. And if it's too cold for you, it's too cold for your dog to be outside for any period of time. And let's face it, dogs have to go outside to relieve themselves unless you have a little toy breed that, goes on pads. So they have to go outside to do that, but keep their exposure brief. Maybe take them out more often for shorter periods of time and be able to read a dog and how they're acting. And usually they may shiver, their tails go down, they're not happy, they're uncomfortable, they're trying to retain heat. So when they're shivering and acting like that, get them into a warm climate as much as possible. One trick I like to do is throw some towels in the dryer for 5 minutes and wrap it around them, or you can throw them in the dryer before you go outside. So by the time you come back, you have warm towels and you can wrap them around a body. If you have a short-haired dog or an elderly dog, they're even more susceptible. Older dogs don't like it. I mean, their bones don't like it. They're arthritic, and dogs that have thin coats, they need the protection. So I was a skeptic at first, but I think sweaters really are beneficial. They just have to get used to it and make sure they fit properly, and then take it off when they get inside. You shouldn't leave it on them on watch. Because they can snag it on things. And in this day and age, I just took my dogs outside, and after the first 10 minutes of walking on rock salt that everybody has on their sidewalks, they start picking up their feet and they're really uncomfortable. So the first thing that I did, because I'm 15 minutes from home, I couldn't back, get them on snow because snow is like water. And so it might seem cold, but it actually dilutes the salt a little bit. You can work with your fingers and get some of those crystals off if you have to, but I find walking them on snow instead of the sidewalks might actually be a little bit better. But when you get home, wipe them off with a damp towel, or some people have buckets of water inside. It can be a little sloppy. Don't leave it outside because it's going to freeze. But do that. And if you do keep your dogs outside and they have water sources out there, make sure you check the water because that freezes up in a matter of hours. So these dogs that are like farm dogs and everything else, because not every dog lives in the city. We have to realize that. So make sure if they do live outside, make sure that they have an area that's shielded from the wind, good cover, hay if they need to, or some
Dry
kind of
bedding?
they can get into it. And the water source has to be checked several times a day. Make sure that they have fresh water available and it's not frozen.
Okay. So you mentioned you're less skeptical, or you've become a believer in coats and sweaters.
Yeah, but I
Um,
don't own one. I just
Pardon me?
I don't own one.
But but for a lot of dogs, puppies,
Do what
older
I say, not
dogs,
what I do.
short-haired dogs.
I mean, my African hounds have long hair, so I don't find the need to have it. Although my husband did ask, do our dogs need sweaters? And they may, and as they get older, I think. But the one thing that I've come a little bit better with are boots because their feet can get cold and the rock salt can be damaging and can hurt them. And if they lick it off, it can cause some gastrointestinal issues. So if you do live where you have to walk them on sidewalks where people do salt things, again, it all depends where people live. If you live in the country, you may not have this issue. But in
Right.
an urban area, if you have to walk past different storefronts or your neighbors' houses, you can't tell them what to do. They're doing the right thing by keeping their sidewalks clean. So it's your responsibility to keep your dog safe and from free from harm. So you
And
can,
we've all seen videos or had the experience with our own dogs where you put the booties on and they're walking like this.
yeah.
And how do you acclimate a dog to wearing boots?
Well, do it inside first for a while. And, I mean, how do you do it?
One foot at a time for a couple minutes each. It's a
Yeah.
slow
Yeah.
process over days. It's not you put them on and expect your dog to walk.
So I think the secret to that is you buy them before you think you need them,
Okay.
right? Yeah, you
Yep.
don't buy them I mean, you could buy them now. And listen, dogs will get used to things pretty fast. But
Yep.
I think that, who's that? Is that our friend?
One thing I keep right by my front door are wet wipes. So when we come in from the walk, you mentioned taking the time to wipe off their paws, and that's what I do for my dog when we come back these days because there is salt out there and ice crystals, and these are an easy, convenient way to get their feet cleaned off.
Yeah, the only thing is some of these dogs, especially some of these big dogs, get clumps of snow like wedged between their paws. So sometimes lukewarm water may help to break that down, or you can work it with your fingers. But I mean, if you need to, I'm not sure how those wipes would work on that.
Yeah,
So, yeah, it depends on the dog. Some people
yeah.
advocate keeping the hair clean away from the pads, but I think that hair has a protective uh, reason why they're there. I mean, nature, that they develop these breeds for a reason. So some of these like sled dogs, they have they're heavily coated, obviously, because they need it, and around their pads and their feet. I think that most people keep that trimmed a little bit, but they leave some of the hair to guard between the pads. So you can talk to people that have Malamutes or Huskies or Samoyeds and see what they recommend. The sled dog people would probably have the best idea on that.
Yeah. On our Tibetan Terriers, we just cut the hair even with the pads so they
Yeah.
don't trip and
I think that's
slide.
probably a wise thing of doing it. It's cleaner, and I think it still gives them some protection.
Yep.
Um, we talked about acclimation. Even these sled dogs get acclimated slowly, and when it's really cold, they always give them cover, and they do that. And we have to understand, like as mentioned before, dogs can get frostbite, and what areas can get frostbite? What do you think, Virginia?
Ears,
Yeah,
tails, toes.
yeah, areas that don't have a lot of circulation, small blood vessels. So the tips of the ears are notorious for getting frostbite. Anywhere like that, the toes, tips of the tail, but those are the areas to watch. And it goes from really being cold to get hot, and that skin can slough off, become gangrenous. So
So
again, we don't.
tell us what you said. Those are the areas to watch. What am I watching for?
Well, first of all, if a dog is cold, you would start looking at that. If a dog happens to be left outside or exposed, the skin can turn a different color, can become blackish, and then start feeling cold to the touch. And then skin could start sloughing off.
Okay, so contact your veterinarian.
Well, if your dog is showing signs of that and hypothermia and is not recovering, I would certainly get a veterinarian. That's an emergency. So you get them warm, get into warm environment, warm towels. That's really important.
Okay, good to know. Excellent. And a warm place to sleep at night.
Yeah, that old fireplace is good, useful.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
anywhere where there's no draft, I think that's really important. I mean, not everyone can have a fireplace, but try to find an area, some corner that's well padded, good insulation, and just make a dog comfortable, especially those old ones. They have joint and bone issues. I can sympathize with that. So do whatever you can to make them comfortable.
Okay, good. Excellent. All right. Thank you, Dr. Klein, once again, our dog's best friend with great advice on how to keep your dog happy, healthy, and safe in the extreme cold weather.
Hang in there.
Yep.
It's
And
going to go on for
Terry,
a little longer.
yes. Spring is coming eventually.
Right. All right.
All right. Corey's Canine Corner, www.corey'scaninecorner.com. Thanks for tuning in.